obviously baby was healthy, and I think that's something that's really important to talk about here is that, you know, you've healed yourself from a really serious condition, Crohn's disease. Um, you've been able to get your body into a healthy state that you can conceive. You've been able to have a pregnancy that was, healthy and free from complications. You've delivered the birth naturally without any intervention. How many people can say that? And your baby is happy and healthy now. Give this video a thumbs up if you know what it's like to live with IBD, and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. This channel is designed to help people recover from colitis, Crohn's, and any other form of IBD. You can always head to our website, highcarbhealth.com, for a free 30-minute consultation from anywhere in the world. And remember, there is a life after colitis. Hello everyone, today is testimonial time and I'm joined by Carla, and I'm really excited for this testimonial because Carla is someone who we've already spoken to who healed a Crohn's disease. Must have been about 3 years ago now?
Yeah,
4?
so 2016, 17.
Yeah, 3 to 4 years ago you healed Crohn's disease, and so Carla's been on a very exciting journey since then, and has a lot of interesting information to share with you guys. So if we just start off with talking about how your life has been, just a brief summary of what you've been doing since you healed.
Okay, well, when I healed, I was teaching English overseas on a tropical island. So since then, I travelled a bit and then returned back home to Adelaide. And since being back in Adelaide, I fell in love. Now I'm living with my fiance, and we have a little baby boy. He's nearing 14 months now.
Yeah, that's the real reason Carla's here, because we always get a lot of questions about, can you have a healthy pregnancy after, with Crohn's disease or colitis? And our opinion's always been that, and I think you agree, and one of the reasons you wanted to heal was that so you could be healthy when you decided to have a baby, and not having to rely on medications and things like that. So absolutely, our advice has always been try and heal yourself so you don't have to rely on medication, so that when you do have a baby, your body's in the healthiest position it can be to, create and grow a healthy human being. So Carla was able to do this, and we'd just love to hear your experience, basically. Talk to us about how it's like now that, you don't have to rely on worrying about Crohn's disease symptoms and things like that. And obviously your pregnancy and things like that.
Yeah, sure. Well, I fell pregnant in August of 2018. The fact that I fell pregnant, I don't know, I felt a bit surprised. I thought, I didn't think I would, be able to fall pregnant. And I'm not sure if that's solely because of Crohn's disease. But yeah, I mean, at the same time, since healing, I'd stayed vegan, and I'd stayed whole food, low fat, plant-based, yeah. Yeah, I suppose looking back, it's no surprise on that front anyway, yeah. So anyway, that was lovely, and the pregnancy was fantastic. Again, it could be many different factors involved, but as far as nutrition goes, everything very smoothly. And yeah, I guess the things that people usually worry about, like, am I getting enough folate? What happens if I eat raw meat in sushi? The egg needs to be fully cooked. What about, all the other bacterias that you find in red meats and whatnot? I really didn't have to worry about any of that.
Yeah.
I did have weird cravings, like you do. I found during pregnancy I craved a lot more fat, which I ended up, eating more of because I craved it. I tried to keep it as whole as possible. I actually, since healing, I pretty much never go near liquid oils. It's usually avocado, nuts, seeds,
Yeah.
nut butters, things like that.
Yeah, so yeah, whole foods, so where the fat comes with everything else that's, designed to be with it.
That's
Um, and, ideally we want people to keep that to a minimum. But, in certain situations, if your body's healthy and it's asking for a little bit more for a short period of time, then why not? There may be something that it really requires, and that was provided to it. But interestingly, you talk about folate, and folate, obviously my wife has had a healthy vegan pregnancy as well, and we've got a very healthy, almost 3-year-old vegan toddler.
yeah,
And it's interesting, people talk about folate and, the folic acid that makes up folate. But, that word foliate comes from the word foliage, and therefore majority of folate is found in plants. And the reason people have to really supplement with folate is because people don't eat enough plants. Talking about your pregnancy, what else did you find? Obviously you didn't have any symptoms, I'm assuming.
yeah. No,
Um,
no symptoms. Yeah, which also I don't know. It surprised me a little bit because I know in Crohn's and colitis, the book, it
mm,
does warn that people who have healed from Crohn's and colitis just need to be a bit more careful if they do get pregnant.
mm,
Um, and I thought there's actually, cases in the community I'm in of people with similar symptoms worsening
mm,
when they fall pregnant. There's been a few that I've known of. So well, both of us thought, let's see what happens. But I was definitely willing to see what happened because I
mm,
had a lot of belief and confidence in what I'd already accomplished with my diet.
mm,
So yeah, first trimester, like maybe I never threw up.
mm-hmm,
Um, I I kept, like having a liter of water when I wake up in the morning. And for a few weeks, I'd feel a bit nauseous
mm,
after drinking a liter of water,
mm-hmm.
and then nothing. It would just disappear. So I just kept on doing it because I thought, well, water's pretty important.
Yeah.
And second trimester, okay, so I was riding my bike all through the pregnancy up until after the due date because my baby, his
Mm.
name is, he didn't come until 13 days after the due date.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So, there I was, probably 40 and a half, maybe 41 weeks pregnant, just riding my bike, into the city with my partner, doing things like that. I'd
Mm,
ride my bike to work as well. So I was keeping fit,
mm-hmm.
which I think, is something that this diet encourages because you do get an abundance of energy and you feel quite, clear and ready to,
Mm,
do physical things. Second trimester was really lovely. Third trimester, I think I went camping at 35 weeks.
yeah.
I didn't get any sciatica or anything.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it could be many factors, and I could just have, the fact that I worked out a lot before getting pregnant as well
Mm,
prepared me for, changes in the body and hormones.
yeah.
But also, I'd say, like diet is one of the pillars, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because, yeah, in first trimester, if you're throwing up, it could be because you're just having way too much of the bad stuff and your body's trying to get it out. Some
Mm,
people wait until the end, and so,
yeah.
how are they nourishing their baby, how are they eating? And then, yeah, as physical fitness goes, how light do you feel through the whole pregnancy to do
Mm,
things?
mm,
I did have reflux if I ate too much, but I felt that was more a physical thing because my stomach was
yeah.
tiny. So,
Yep. Yep.
yeah,
Yeah, definitely. I think, it's hard to avoid that when you've got so many things pushing up and squashing different organs and things like that, which,
yeah,
it's very, obviously I've never experienced it, but observing my wife going through it, it seems like
yeah.
it can be a strange sensation sometimes when you're being, you know, squeezed and stretched
Physically
and all sorts
squished.
of different things. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think I cured or like relieve the symptoms of reflux, usually with apples
Right.
and salads. So yeah,
Hmm.
I didn't have to medicate myself with over-the-counter
No.
antidotes and things.
Yeah, and talk about that because a lot of the times people are, told that you need to take certain medications or certain precautions when it comes to pregnancy. But this is a very natural thing for the body. Your body is designed to do this. And, for us, when we went through our experience with Alia, we never saw a doctor because we didn't need to. Like doctors aren't necessary for normal situations. They're only needed if something's wrong.
Mm.
So how was that experience with you? And what were you being told, and some of the myths that you get told when you're pregnant?
Um, you know, so I don't think I ever saw a doctor.
Mm,
The reflux thing, I kind of took it into my own hands because I knew what to do.
yeah.
So I never saw a doctor for that. I did get advised to take iron supplements
Mhm.
because my iron was low.
Mhm.
And this is something that, my body's been dealing with for pre-healing
Mhm.
and I suppose
Yeah, and
getting
that's
pregnant.
quite a common thing actually for a lot of women for them to have low iron because you're creating a whole new organ, the placenta,
Yeah.
you're creating a life. Your
Yeah.
body's going to use a lot of iron. I think it's quite a natural thing. But yeah, if you need to take a short-term supplementation just to get you through a period of low iron stores and things like that, then you have to do that. But I think, it's when you have to rely on things, If you take a supplement for a specific reason that's necessary, there's nothing wrong in that. And a lot of our clients need to take iron when they've got colitis and Crohn's as well, because if you're bleeding a lot,
Mm.
you're depleting your iron levels. So um, we take the help where we can get it, but we don't need to rely on that long term, is our understanding.
Yeah. And I think the idea also is perfection is not at the center here.
Hmm. Hmm.
In my whole journey as a vegan since 2014, um, I've come to certain points where I've felt myself wanting to be perfect in what
Hmm.
I do and more consistent than is reasonable to expect from a human.
Yeah, yeah.
And that could be deeply ingrained in my character as well,
Hmm. Hmm.
So what I've learned from, a lot of experience, within the vegan realm is that you really should not strive for perfection, but just to do the best you can.
Yep.
And yeah, like you said, if you need a supplement, then do so and just try and pick the best supplement you can.
Hmm. Yeah. So let's talk about your carrying on with your pregnancy experience, what was it like, going into like the delivery phase and all that kind of stuff, and
Yeah.
how did you
Uh,
find all that?
it's so it was really the pressure I felt was because I went overdue.
Right.
Because I'm in SA, I think the regulations are a bit tighter here than
South
other.
Australia.
Yeah,
Yep. Okay.
South Australia.
Just
Sorry,
clarify that. Yeah.
not South Africa. Um, but yeah, because I'm in South Australia, if you're 10 days overdue, they start really putting the pressure on you to induce,
Hmm.
which is not what I wanted to do because, again, we're aiming for the, naturalness.
Hmm.
We're not wanting to get perfection, but at the same time, you want to weigh up the odds and be reasonable about things.
Yeah.
And when they ran tests on me after 10 days overdue,
Hmm.
Win seemed to be quite comfortable and fine in my belly.
Hmm.
And doctors tried to convince me otherwise.
Hmm.
And they wanted to induce me. So we just said, let's leave it a day at least, so I can process this.
Yep.
And I had the day before got acupuncture, kind of like in a frenzy, like, oh, I don't want to be induced.
Mm.
And with that and a stretch and a sleep from the midwife that was following my pregnancy,
Hmm.
I then went into labour the night of being at the hospital and them telling me you need to be induced. Yeah, I
Yeah.
went into labour, or
Hmm.
would you call it pre-labour? Just had cramps and yeah,
Yeah, you started to get a few contractions coming through.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that's when it started. And it was long. It went for the whole. It was a Thursday night. Went for all Friday. And then I ended up delivering Saturday morning, 6:30 a.m.
Mm.
And I practiced hypnobirthing,
Mm-hmm.
which I researched a lot
Yeah.
and practiced a lot before labour.
Yes.
It's an incredible technique, and
Mm-hmm.
I advise anyone pregnant to look into it. So yeah, that's all about the mind and just believing in yourself and believing in your body that you're able to give birth healthily and naturally. So
Yeah. And so you didn't need any interventions during your birth?
no, I didn't, and it's really funny because in the group practice you can go as far as an epidural if you need, but they start you off with the really mild painkillers if you need them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I through that whole phase I forgot to ask for painkillers. I
Mm-hmm.
was in the zone. So yeah, no intervention. Uh,
And your
and
body actually makes natural painkillers too, through some of the hormones and oxytocin and different things that are produced, especially if you're not induced, because if you do get induced, then that whole function doesn't work properly because you've artificially started it. Um, but if you don't get induced and you go into labor naturally, then your body will already, obviously it's not going to take the pain away,
yeah,
but it can help compared to being induced for sure. Um,
yeah. Well, I mean, the pain is important to a point.
hmm
So you know what's going on. I pretty
Absolutely.
much the birth to me was all internal,
hmm
and my partner, for him, he was all about the external, of course. But
Yeah.
all I remember was what was happening inside of me.
hmm
So yeah, no complications, fortunately, and no painkillers.
hmm
I ended up giving birth to in squatting,
hmm
ground. I tried water birth,
Yeah.
tried sitting in the pool, but it just didn't feel right.
Right.
Um, when he was crowning, they say when he was actually coming out,
Yes.
which is the very end, believe it or not.
Yes. Yes.
The midwife who was over the other side of the room letting me do my thing, she didn't realize that that was happening because of hypnobirthing. I was so composed.
Right.
I wasn't making a lot of sound.
Yes.
And my partner was there, like squatting in front of me. And then he, turned to the side. He said, I think the baby's coming. I can see something. And what
Yeah.
he saw, which was amazing, was the amniotic sac, which hadn't broken. My waters hadn't broken.
Oh.
He saw that poking out like a bubble.
Yeah.
And when the midwife came over with the student midwife, Win came out in his sac.
Yeah.
He came out, I think they call it OP, so looking up towards the sky.
hmm
They broke the sac open. He let out his first cry, and that was
Wonderful.
it was amazing. And we didn't know the sex of the baby.
Oh.
In that moment, we couldn't care about it. So the then said, "Oh, do you mind if I check what the sex is?" And we're like, "Oh yeah, is it a boy or a girl?" Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's, you've been through that experience, probably the last thing you're worried about. You're just happy that the little one's healthy and safe and, made their way through that kind of journey from the inside to the outside world. It's a wonderful thing.
It's wonderful, and it's in a poignant way, it's traumatic as well. They're going from being so comfortable and squishy in fluid to the harsh outside.
Yeah, it's a shock.
Yeah, we all experienced it. Thankfully,
Yeah,
we remember.
yeah, yeah. Okay, and then obviously baby was healthy, and I think that's something that's really important to talk about here is that you've healed yourself from a really serious condition, Crohn's disease. You've been able to get your body into a healthy state that you can conceive. You've been able to have a pregnancy that was, healthy and free from complications. you've delivered the birth naturally without any intervention. How many people can say that? And you know, your baby is happy and healthy now,
Yeah.
14 months later. And I think that's just a real testament to how well you've been able to manage, you know, not only the healing process, but also staying consistent and looking after your body throughout those 3-4 years, even after you finish working with us. And, you know, it's really important for us to try and explain that, you know, yes, we work with you for a period of time, but the information that we want to give to our clients is lifelong, and you can maintain that and use that, you know, for other aspects of your life as well. And so, you know, just talk about how you feel about that.
Yeah, so it's definitely a lifestyle change, you know.
Mm.
And when he'd come out, he'd been tested, he was fine, he was happy and healthy. He came out 3.08 kilo or something. So that's not the smallest baby. It's definitely not the biggest baby.
Mm.
It's a nice size.
It's a
know.
great size, yeah.
Yeah. And from then it was postpartum, which is really crucial to be quite focused on what's happening with your body in postpartum, because there could be complications afterwards. And I have friends who have had complications and had to be readmitted, and unfortunately, you know, that's sometimes the case.
Yeah.
So what happened with my pregnancy is that I did tear twice. They said we can give you 2 stitches because there was a little bit of a deep tissue tear in one of the tears, or they said we can leave off the stitches and you can just see if you can go through it naturally. And I said, well, of course I'll try naturally, because the thought of stitches down there just doesn't appeal. So yeah, when I say it's a lifestyle thing, yes, you eat healthily, so what's coming out down there when you do defecate and things like that is as healthy as it can possibly be, with good bacteria, especially if you're healing wounds down there. It's also being clued into what the you know, cleanest way of cleaning up down there is. So, you know, it's about using water instead of other things, and then resting. When you're healing Crohn's, you have to rest when your body wants rest, and postpartum it's no different to rest. So we did that, juiced our green. Well, my partner juiced greens for me. Made me lovely salads. We had friends bring dinner around, and you know, we specified it had to be vegan, which was really lovely. They really came through. Okay, so yeah, lots of rest. Breastfeeding was without any complication as well. It was it worked out quite well. Still again, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a very good point that you make as well, that, you know, when we look at how the body heals and how the body works, it's about optimizing the way the body operates. It's not just, you know, oh, I just want to heal your colon, or I just want to heal your bowel, and then I'm going to neglect the rest of your body, you know. It's about making sure that you are looking at the body as an entire organism. And so now that you're healthy, then things are going to start working the way they're designed. So when you need to produce milk for your baby, your body's going to produce it because it's healthy, it's nourished, it's being looked after well, and you know, obviously you're giving your child the greatest gift, which is breastfeeding. It's you can't, you know, even think about how amazing that is for your child. Okay, so now comes the interesting part, because when you went through the craziness of the initial part of pregnancy, and if someone hasn't been through it, you've got no idea, but people who do, they know how absolutely you know, energy sapping, time consuming this whole process can be, especially the first 3 months. I would say first 3 to 4 months is like a blur. And yes, you did you know, let go on some of the things you were doing with your diet, and because of that you saw some symptoms return, didn't you?
I did, yeah. So it was a bit later than 4 months. It was probably at the 7-month mark. When was never the best sleeper, and up until that point still didn't sleep great. And the reason why I mentioned sleep is because it's so important. Really important.
Yeah. Yeah.
And with lacking sleep and stress,
Yeah.
you get stressed sometimes within your relationship because the dynamic's changing. You get stressed because the baby's crying, you don't know how to stop it from crying, things like that. Not being able to get out, yeah, things like that. And then, yeah,
so many things change, don't they, in your whole life? It's just like a complete, nothing can prepare you for it.
Yeah, that's totally right. I stayed vegan. I suppose I've always been vegan, always will be, as far as I can see. But yes, my diet slipped in the sense that I'd pretty much eat anything I could get my hands on rather than thinking about, whether it was conducive to good health. And what happened then at the 7-month mark was that I did have a return of symptoms. I'd probably say they came on the same way as they did the first time. And I knew it was happening. I knew the feeling, and I knew what to do. So I said, okay, I need to clean things up. I need to start buying celery again. No.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's an important thing that you made, though, because it's not just that your diet was slipping, because if those other factors weren't involved, you may have been able to get away with that to a certain degree, and it may not have come back to at the same extent that it did. But, when you think about the 5 pillars of health, your diet, the food that you eat, the level of hydration, the sleep that you get, the amount that you exercise, and how good your mental health is. And, basically you can easily tell that probably 4 out of those 5 things were, like food slipping away. Maybe you were able to consume enough water. Sleep was definitely not the way it should be. Exercise probably not the way it should be. And the stress that comes with having a newborn. So you say, like, if you take away, out of the 5 pillars of health, 4 of them are not in an ideal situation. And therefore, you're creating an environment where, toxins can increase, the level of toxins can increase. And your body just decided, okay, well, now it's gotten to a toleration point where you need to try and remove them again, and therefore it created those symptoms for you.
Yeah.
But as you said, you knew what to do, and explain to everyone what you did.
Okay, so I went to the healing diet, which is juicing not everything. So you juice your celery and, your lettuce and cucumber. So nice minerally fruits and greens that you can't digest very well in your gut when you're trying to heal, or it's too rough on the walls. With some apple, so you have to select the fruits that are going to be gentle to your system, and then eat fruit fiber, nice soft fruit fiber. So I was eating a lot of bananas, dates, the occasional papaya, but it's not the same price as what it was when I was on tropical island. Quality. So it was, to have the second experience was kind of like a blessing in disguise, because I was able to experience healing in a completely different realm. I wasn't working a part-time job on a tropical island in the sun with, fruit and just all the time in the world to do mental work on myself. It was taking care of a baby, still living some of those stresses, and then, taking on the healing diet, which is, a nice gradual, gentle way of healing yourself. But, you have to be in it for the long run. And within that healing diet, I then moved around a bit, because I found, well, this time round, I feel like my body was demanding more starches sometimes. I wanted to still eat high carb, low fat, low salt, things like that, but not necessarily eating as much fruit as I did the first time round. I feel like it's because I couldn't be as active as I was the first time round, and so my body just wasn't wanting that, all of that fruit energy.
Mm.
Perhaps, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I did stick to, starchy or fruit.
And how long did it take for your body to come back into a kind of situation where you felt a bit more comfortable?
I reckon it's taken, or it took, gosh, I reckon 4 or 5 months. It took a bit longer than the first time. For me to feel like I could be, or I could be normal again.
Yeah, and that makes sense
Yeah,
because a lot of those pillars, it takes time to realign them. Especially you can't sleep when your baby needs you, and you can't
that's
have
right.
the lack of stress when you don't know what's going on at each different stage of their growth.
Yeah,
And so you might have been able to pull some of those pillars back in. Obviously, diet you've able to pull back in, um, and you know. Possibly improving a little bit about sleep, maybe napping where you could, or
yeah,
and trying to reduce your stress as much as you could as well. But yeah,
yeah,
there's some things you just can't help, and so yeah, possibly it does take a bit longer when you have to still you can't give 100% to what you need at that time.
yeah.
Um, but it's still possible as you've shown,
That's
and
right. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and now everything's fine again.
Yeah, well, these days I'm on the post-healing diet.
Mm,
I'm still, I'd say, you know, every now and again I might see, um, what do you call it, like the end of healing. So you know how it
hmm.
happens very gradually.
Yeah,
I'd say like, you know, maybe, yeah, sometimes I might see a bit of mucus or something, but I just feel like that's the body
yeah, yeah.
petering out and just finishing the job off.
Mm,
The body is continually cleansing itself. So,
absolutely.
but you know, I'm not running to the toilet. I'm not in pain.
Mm.
That's one thing about being whole food, plant based. You your health problems are never as bad as they could be
Yeah,
because
yeah.
they like you're just doing the right thing as far as what you're eating goes, and that's so important.
Mm.
Um, for example, yesterday morning I went on a 30K bike ride at 5 a.m.
Well done.
Yeah, the baby's sleeping better, so I'm able to do what I used to do and
Yeah.
feel more myself, which is great for my mental clarity.
Mm-hmm.
This morning I did an hour of yoga, so
Mm-hmm.
just to be an example of I'm still breastfeeding,
Mm-hmm.
I'm still sleeping close to my baby.
Mm.
Um, I'm still experiencing the ups and downs of motherhood, but
Mm.
I was able to, bring it all in and make those pillars a bit stronger for myself.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. It's yeah, it's truly inspirational. I think the reason why I asked you to come back and share, this part of your story is because one, we do get a lot of questions. Can you have a baby after after you've healed from Crohn's or colitis or anything like that? And the answer is obviously yes, you can.
Yeah.
Um, but also just to show how this information that you have now is so powerful that you didn't. I don't think you contacted me hardly during that time when you were healing again.
Yeah.
Um, and that for me is really pleasing because it means that it feels like I've done my job well. That you know what to do. Like you don't have to rely on me or Shamiz or anything like that. It's like something. Um, something goes the way you don't want it to. Okay, you kind of have that knowledge that you can just, okay, this is what I need to do to get better, and I just need to
Yeah.
focus and be patient and allow the body to heal itself again. I think that's something that unfortunately it's lacking in today's world, is that understanding of how the body heals. It's like, oh, I went on a vegan diet and this happened to me. But that's not the whole idea. The idea is understanding what the body's trying to achieve when it's healing and allowing it to do that.
Yeah. Like I think what you guys offer with High Carb Health, which say health practitioners in a medical practice don't offer, is education.
Hmm.
So if you're willing and ready to heal, you're willing and ready to be educated.
Hmm.
Because healing is not just a once-off thing.
Hmm.
And if your body could talk, that's exactly what it would say. Um, where we live in a world where we're endlessly exposed to things that are hurting our body,
Hmm.
and the best thing you can do is to be educated and to understand what's going on and help your body the best you can.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. And as you said, it's not about perfection. This world isn't perfect. You're not going to be perfect. There's things that are going to happen in your life that are going to throw you to one side or the other. It's how you pick yourself up and how you kind of deal with those situations
yeah,
that really defines your progress and your growth as a person. I think, you should be very proud of yourself about what you've been able to achieve. All
yeah.
right. So I guess just to round things out,
Mm.
and kind of end this, what kind of advice would you give to people who are kind of interested in more about kind of following in those footsteps, healing their bodies, and they do want to have children, but they're unsure, because things like immunosuppressants and steroids and things like that, like
Mm.
whether the doctor says it or believes it or not, these things can impact on your baby. Even simple things like headache medication stuff can go through into the baby. So, um, it's I think it's such a sacred thing bringing someone into this world. You want to give them the best possible opportunity to have a successful life and a healthy life.
Mm.
And, that's why I really commend you for what you've been able to achieve, because you really put in that hard work and you sacrificed yourself, to have that outcome. So what kind of advice would you give to someone maybe who's got colitis or Crohn's and is thinking, I'd like to have a baby one day, but I'm unsure of what these medications are going to do and things like
Yeah, sure. So, first thing, it's possible.
that. Yeah.
Very possible to have a baby, despite the fact you're suffering at the moment from symptoms of Crohn's or colitis or whatever it may be.
Mm.
Uh, I would say, I would stress to take care of yourself, make sure. I think, they say zone zero yourself, taking care
Mm.
of zone zero yourself
Mm.
is very important before conceiving.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that can include getting, educated about how to eat properly, take care of yourself properly, live the lifestyle you want to live.
Mm.
Um, and then, yeah, once you feel you've got a hold on that and things are better and you're perhaps unmedicated, then, yeah, go for it.
Yeah. I think it's important as well that you gave, you healed and then you didn't just straight away, you allowed your body to recover from that healing phase and build a bit of strength. And, maybe a year or two after you healed, that's when, you conceived. And I think that's also an important thing to understand, that, it's once you heal, you're
Mm,
basically back to zero. You've been in negative environment. Like the body's in below what we would call healthy.
yeah.
And so you build yourself up and you heal yourself and you get to like zero, and then
Mm,
you've got to actually build from that and strengthen your body and build some resilience, because if you don't do that, then it's very easy to fall into traps
mm,
and relive some symptoms and things like that. So um,
yeah, definitely. If you happen to fall pregnant, while you're medicated, then I would say, start speaking to, people within the
mm,
diet.
yeah, I mean, we've worked with people that have been pregnant
Yeah.
while they've had disease and stuff like that, and they have been actually able to have healthy pregnancies and conceive the baby, and even come off their medications and things like that. So
Wow,
um,
that's
yeah,
huge.
not everyone wants to share their story like you do, but it's like it is still possible, and uh, a lot of people have always told me this, including Dr. Klein. He said, um, and when people ask you, oh, should I start eating healthier now, or should I wait until a certain time, until this happens, until that happens? But the best time to start eating healthier is obviously right now.
Is now.
Is
Yeah.
now. So it doesn't matter what situation you're in, it's always better to make the right choice.
Yeah.
Make the healthier choice, regardless of what's going on around you.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
Cool. All right. So yeah, once again, thank you so much for joining me and sharing another part of your life with us on
Yeah.
on
No,
on
that's
a,
right.
on a channel. And it's really inspirational. I think a lot of people will be inspired by your journey, and you should be proud of yourself, obviously. For everyone who's watching, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more videos like this, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you click on the bell notification, you will get the updates of all our recent uploads. And if you have a comment or a question about Carla's journey, feel free to ask it in the comment section below. And also feel free to share this video with anyone who, might be interested in what Carla's been through. But apart from that, thank you again, Carla.
Thank you. Yeah, and thank you to you for the continued friendship.
Yeah,
Past healing.
absolutely. And please do stay in touch.
Yeah.
But for everyone else who's watching, make sure you keep eating plants and lots of them, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.